Hey guys, making some progress here. So I got the fuel pump out, got the wiring done on a new connector for the outside of the pump, and I'm getting ready to install the fittings onto the what does this say? CJ Motorsports bullet hat here. So this is about the only option you have for like anything aftermarket, where you need a bigger connector inside. This supposedly would work with 12 gauge. I found that kind of a little challenging, simply because the connector doesn't seem like it's meant, or the connectors provided weren't really, like, let's say you're pushing the limits, and the first 3 attempts I tried getting that on there as much as I could to condense the size of it. I couldn't push it through to snap it in, so I ended up having to downgrade it to 12 gauge. 14 gauge for the power, which is, stock is 18, so 14 gauge is going to be just fine for what I need. So what happens when you have a high performance pump and you're using a factory hat? Now look inside here, you can see that has burned through, and probably was starting to burn through the rest of that top piece. I didn't see anything right here burning through, but you can imagine that was heating up, and it was probably always hot. And I think it was just purely because of just the increase in shot. More gas requires more power, and I think it just started doing it. So anyway, that's why I got the new hat. It's expensive. I wish there was another option, but that's the only way you can get like a 12 gauge connection in there. So over here, here's where I'm at. So I ended up wiring everything through the stock cap here. I'm gonna have to put some silicone on there and tape it back up when I'm done. They got all the wires through here. This is what I was talking about. That's 14 gauge going into there. With the 12 gauge, I could not get it to go in there. It was too much. So anyway, it's plenty. 14 gauge is more than enough for what I'm doing. So should be all set. Got this bagged up for now, so my car doesn't smell like gas, and that's it. So I'll do part 2 of this as well. Bye everyone. Alright, just got done getting everything reconnected. Got the fuel pump assembly dropped back down, rewired. That was kind of a big pain in the ass, honestly. Those wire connectors and using that crimper tool the first time, I must have failed like 3 times. I had to re-crimp or re-heat sink, not heat sink, but solder again. Practice makes perfect, right? So I got everything connected, started the car, started right up the first time. I'm gonna fire it up again and check to see if I have any error codes. The fuel lever level was working. Let's make sure my temp sensor is working. The pin layout inside and on top of the tank is different, and the wires are different. So that's a pain in the ass. And it's kind of mapping it out on a piece of paper and doing it that way, because the connectors are even different too. So the original connector is like 5 in a row. This one's 3 on top and 3 on the bottom. And yeah, quite a bit different, but I got it in there. I had to reduce the wire size here, like I mentioned before, to 14 for the power, but it turns out the DW pump wiring on that is 14 gauge anyway, so I'm not really losing anything there. So one thing I also checked since I started it up, to make sure my fuel pressure stayed solid here. So this is with the car being off for, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes. You can see it's about 52 pounds of PSI right there. So not bad. That means I have no leaks. I think I had a small leak actually before, because it would go down a little bit further than this, but now it's holding tight with that new bullet cap. So I guess maybe some new hoses, clamps, and things. Certainly stopped anything from leaking. So that will help my PSI at full throttle. Believe it or not, any type of tiniest little leak will hit you, later on when you're like at full throttle. It'll fluctuate a little bit, but happy with that. Means I'll have to pull the tank or the assembly out a zillion times trying to figure out which hose is leaking, or the assembly's leaking here, or the pump's leaking. It's always a pain in the ass. So let's go back over here. I have my ECU connected. All right, just started it up a couple times. It's definitely much quieter. The bullet cap kind of dampers the sound of that pump starting up, which is kind of cool, but probably make it a little hard when I put the cushions back in or the seats back in the back to even hear it. But I did run this a couple times. There's no error codes, so it's looking pretty good. Yeah, overall, I mean, was it as easy as I thought it was? It's basically mainly because you have to use you know, crimper tools that have these special connectors. Kind of a pain in the ass, but I got it done, so I'm gonna go take it for a test drive. So you can see right here, fuel gauge is good. So yeah, that's it. Thanks everyone. Bye.